Hi, my name is Danielle Dothard, and this is the video blog entry for Chapter 7 in regards to gender and media. The assignment was to talk about a movie that challenges traditional depictions of men and women in media, and the one that I want to pick is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's called The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The male characters in this movie, I would probably say the main three that I'm going to talk about today are Quasimodo, the Archdeacon Claude Frollo, and Phoebus. Quasimodo is the main character. He was taken in by Frollo at a young age, actually after Frollo killed his mother, but that's a different story. He was taken in by Frollo, and he was raised. He essentially wanted to raise him in the way that he thought. He wanted to raise him to be a God-fearing man, stay in the church. He often told Quasimodo as a child he would never be accepted by the outside world because of his deformities and because he is ugly. He can never step foot into society. So that basically sets the tone for the movie. Because he was never allowed out of the church, he kept Quasimodo in the tallest tower and made him the bell ringer. So his goal in the movie was to finally get out there and see what the world has to offer. Um, Moving deeper into Frollo, he's always dressed in black, to depict, I think, to show the children that he is the villain essentially in the movie. He's crass. He's very closed-minded. He has no regard for anyone else's opinions except for his own. He even is also disrespectful to another priest into the church, claiming that he doesn't know as much as he does and that he's not as strong as he is, and he sets the rules. He's in charge. He falls in love with the gypsy Esmeralda, who I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And he tries to convert her into his religion, even though his goal, through hiring Phoebus, is to run all the gypsies out of Paris, whether through murder or through just uncovering their hideout and making it uncomfortable for them to stay. He wants to rid the city of this group. So him falling in love with Esmeralda becomes a contradiction for him because he wants to get rid of her people, but at the same time he feels a sin within his heart. He feels because he's in love with a gypsy, because in that movie gypsies are sinners just because they're nomads and they dance in the street for money versus working. But now as an adult, when you learn about gypsy culture, that's not true at all. um, so moving on to Phoebus, the last male character, he's always depicted in gold. He's drawn as tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, broad shoulders, the traditional view that you would see as a man, versus Frollo, who's a little bit older. He's skinnier. He doesn't have those very masculine characteristics. But this is done to show Phoebus as a love interest, and also as a stronger male character. And although he does have these even though he is drawn in this way, he is actually very sweet. Upon meeting Quasimodo, he does not turn away from him. He's not mean to him. Even upon meeting Esmeralda, he does fall in love with her as well, but he's always kind to her. He actually goes out of his way and risk his job to save her and to keep her away from Frollo, because he knows that Frollo would, have her killed or tortured in jail. Um, so moving on to Esmeralda. Esmeralda is drawn. She's fully clothed. Like I said, she is a Romnishal gypsy, and she is fully clothed. She doesn't have a lot of skin showing, and she has like a sidekick that's a goat. But throughout the movie, she is a strong figure in change, and by I mean that even she's aware of her status as a lowly person in the French society, but she often advocates to um, for better conditions for her people and for other people. When she first meets Quasimodo, she is a bit taken aback, but she offers to, you know, they're at a festival and she wants him to be shown off. She wants him to not be afraid. During the festival, they find out that Quasimodo actually, he's not wearing a mask. He just looks that ugly. He is deformed, and the audience starts pelting him with fruit and vegetables and things like that. And she stands up and tells them to stop. She even stands up against Frollo and challenges him for, allowing the crowd to treat him that way when he's supposed to be a beacon of justice. He's essentially being a hypocrite. And in the time that this movie came out, the Disney was going through a part of what's called the Disney Renaissance, where they started to make movies more about women saving the day versus them waiting for the men to come around. For example, Snow White and Aurora and Cinderella. These are stories of women, kind of sitting around waiting for the prince to come versus Esmeralda, Pocahontas, The Little Mermaid, and a big one, Mulan. These are all women who save the day, essentially. They don't wait around for the man to help them out with anything. And sometimes actually the men are the ones that cause the trouble and the women have to come and clean it up. And that's a lot of the reason why I love Esmeralda so much, because she was not stuck in any box. She did not conform to any norms. She never sat down when people told her to sit down. She always believed in what she believed in and she fought for it. Um, and I think that had really influenced my childhood because I often watched movies with women that are depicted as strong characters. There's a show called Kim Possible that I really loved, and it's basically about a girl always saving the day. There's a show called The Proud Family, and there's a girl called Penny Proud, and she is a strong character. She's kick butt. She is also respectful to her parents, but she she believes in what she believes in, and she's headstrong, and she goes and gets that, and I admire that. I really love that they took this take on it. I also want to add one last thing that this was a movie that I watched during my childhood. So I was not fully aware of all the elements and all the themes within The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So now as an adult, I have seen the Broadway show and I have also read the original book by Victor Hugo. And I learned that Claude Frollo, essentially in the Disney movie, isn't given much of a reason or much of a backstory as to why he is so evil. He is just evil. But reading the adult book and the true story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, I see that he was written as a character to be Quasimodo's uncle. There he had a brother named Jayon, and him and his brother Jayon lived within the cathedral, and Jayon was excommunicated, for living a lewd life. And before his death, he asked Frollo to take care of his child, who he knew would have been cast away because of his deformity. And Frollo did take him in, and he loved his brother and he wanted to raise Quasimodo in the way that he would have loved for his brother to be, but it did not turn out that way. So, as you go older and the stories expand, you see that people are the way that they are for a reason, and that only one view will not give you the full story. So me watching the movie as a kid will not give you the full story of who someone is or what the full character is. So I think it's important to challenge these stereotypes and kind of think outside of the box, think of reasons why people may be the way that they are or be shown to be a certain way that they are, because not everything is the full picture. But again, I do applaud Disney and a lot of these other movie companies, and a lot of these television shows for trying to show girls and women that we can be all that we want to be within ourselves. We don't have to wait for a man to save the day, a man to open the door. We don't have to wait for a man to do anything. We can do anything that we want to do.